So just to start things off, any hashtags? This is San Diego Design Week. My name is Anne McColl. I am the founder and creative director of Liquid Sketch, which is a graphic facilitation firm. What I do is I attend events and sessions and internal collaboration meetings, and in real time, I illustrate the conversations through Word and graphics. I'm not going to be doing that today. What I'll be doing today is more of a facilitator role where you'll speak out or put things in chat. And so what our structure of our meeting today is, we're going to just go over some tips, and these are almost tips you can even apply in face-to-face communication of creating a positive environment. And then we're going to review some interaction tools that we can use to make our Zooms more human. And then we're going to go through a structure of a meeting. First, creating a positive environment. Again, on Zoom meetings, when you are actually going to be participating, turn on your camera. We try to limit, hopefully your team tries to limit the video calls, but when you are participating, it helps your meeting attendees. They can learn and see it so much when they see your face rather than just hear your voice. But of course, virtual is virtual. If you're attending a meeting from your car, you might just have to be your audio. And then we want to be very intentional on using people's names, even more so than in a face-to-face. It helps draw people in. That's not to say that you want to make someone feel uncomfortable, but you do want to invite people to participate and, say, hey, do you have any things? And then also promote interaction. Anything you can do to get a real quick, just like what we did with the sign here, anytime you can get people to move, it breaks them out of their rut. So some brainstorm guidelines, and again, it goes for in-person or virtual. Defer judgment. When we're at the idea generation point, we're just putting out ideas. And sometimes they might sound silly, but what your turd is, someone can make amazing. I once was involved with an agency concept session, and we were doing, it was called the nano chip, and it read genetic material, and we were doing a trade show. And all the attendees of the trade show were these PhDs, and we are thinking up of what these ideas, how we could promote this nano chip. And if she wasn't a creative, she was the account person, and she said, well, we should just sell potato chips next to the nano chips and everyone will come. And that's what we did. We actually we created a new brand of potato chip, the nano chip, and it, gets your raise in a crunch. And that was a hit among all those PhDs. So you never know what idea is going to be great. Quantity, not quality. When we're in the ideation, just get them out there. People can add on, and then we'll edit. And then the next thing is those crazy ideas, nano chips, potato chips. It works. And then we want to build on other people's ideas. This is how we can interact with our Zoom. We've already done snapshots where we hold up our little pictures. You can take polls. We can do finger polls, or we can also do polls using the Zoom software. A good way to do that is when you're deciding on final ideas. What we're going to do next is we're going to use the whiteboard in solution in Zoom. And the whiteboard lets one person, it's like a whiteboard. You can type. If you're on an iPad, you can draw. And so what I've done is I've signed in my iPad as well to this meeting with the sound off, and I'll be able to draw on an iPad, on a whiteboard shortly. And the way you get access the whiteboard, if you are sharing in your own meeting, is you go to share, and then whiteboard clicks up, and then you can access that. And when you're on the whiteboard, this annotation shows up, and you're able to type, and you're able to draw. And you, under stamp, you can find hearts and check marks, and these are great ways when you're voting via Zoom. And we'll be doing that in just a minute. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to share a whiteboard from my iPad. What I'm able to do is I can draw right here, and you guys can see it. And now what you can do is you can also type. Now, if you look at the top of your screen, there's a little green bar that says you are viewing Anne McColl's screen. And to the right of that should be a black bar, and it has view options, and you should be able to annotate. So if your last name is between the letters A and F, I'd like you to see if you can find that annotate item in that drop-down menu, and try doing a little drawing or a little text. Does anyone see that? Okay, I see a heart that I did not draw. So if you're A through F, you can do a heart. And I see Camilla is drawing, and I see Yali has something. Right on. Okay, if you are, I don't want to overload the Zoom because the last thing we want to do is crash. So if you are G through M, why don't you try doing some sort of annotation? All right, I see Mary Beth, I see Bethany, Miranda. All right, and then, ooh, getting some cursive in there. All right, and then everyone else, let's try that. All right, we got it. Okay, so I am able to save this lovely board to photos, and I'm now going to create another one. And I am going to ask you, what we're specifically going to do here is we're going to vote. So you can use a color stamp, a heart, or a check mark, but all of those icons are under the stamp, and you can select a color. So again, if you are M through Z, why don't you try picking a stamp and vote? Just inside the square, you can that's it. Okay, and let's have A through M try some voting. All right, guys, we are going to discuss what a structure of a brainstorm can be. It's an in-person structure with lots of sticky notes and whiteboards. And so what I've done is I've adapted it to using Zoom. There's a couple of other softwares and apps you can use with sticky notes, but that requires more software, and then that requires your time that you have to do teaching it. Most people are familiar with Zoom, so what I'm trying to do is keep all of this interaction within the Zoom software. So the first, I'm going to go over this roughly here, and then we'll do this on the whiteboards. So the first part of this activity is we're going to suggest what some of the problems are. So what we're going to attack is problems with virtual communications. So we're going to get, what are a whole bunch of problems? And then we're going to vote and choose the problems that we think are the most significant. And then we're going to create and generate solutions. We're going to narrow them down. And then we're going to commit to maybe 2 or 3 of those and apply action and deadlines, and people can get it into their project management software. We're going into now some of our whiteboards again. So for the first part of our brainstorm, the collect phase, we're going to use an exercise called the sailboat. The sailboat offers a nice metaphor of the sail, what's pushing us forward, where we'll share positive aspects of our subject. And then afterwards, we're going to share more negative aspects in what's dragging us down below the water where the anchor is. We start with what moves us forward because this sets a positive aspect to the brainstorm session, and it makes people more energized and excited to share. And then we get down to the challenges below where people are starting to get a little bit more negative aspects of our subject. In today's session, we're going to have participants share their input via chat, and I'm going to write it above here on the sail for positive aspects. And then later, we're again going to have people share by chat, and I will write their input down here below the anchor for challenges that are dragging us down. In a smaller group, you could have people just give their verbal input, or you could have them annotate all at the same time. What we're going to do here is in the chat, I'm going to ask you guys some ideas of what are some things that are, when you are working at home, what are some ideas that, some things that you actually like about working at home? What's worked well for you? I'm going to start and say no commute. Miranda says my own schedule. Does anyone else have anything that they like? Flexibility. Saving money. Happy dogs. Healthy eating. Now, if we were in a smaller group, we could do this out loud, but in a larger group, we're just going to be doing this text. Casual Fridays is every day. Take breaks. Focused. No interruptions. Garden more. So it sounds like for some of us, we have really made a good use of our time off. Multitasking. Better food. All right, and some people are adding in less makeup, sleeping in. Excellent. And these are all ideas that are positive. We're starting out positive because it adds an energy to the room, because sometimes when we start focusing on the challenges, that can start turning into a downer. So what we want to do first is to build some camaraderie and to people say, yeah, I agree with you, that works. Sharon is saying she likes my own office. Okay, so I am right now going to save this to photos. And then what I'm going to ask you now, again, we're just going to be doing this by chat, is what are some of the challenges that you have faced working at home. I'm going to say lots of notifications from everywhere. Always on. Isolation. Hard to limit time. How about those of you with teams? How has this affected team? Missing coworkers. Distractions. Working longer hours. Liz said very poetically, inhaling my own fumes, need an outside point of view. I myself, I have had too much Zoom. Missing coffee from Janet. My coffee consumption's gone way down. No variety from Rachel. Okay, so so what we would do is we would be generating ideas for for about maybe 6 minutes, 10 minutes. And then if we had 30 ideas, we'd spend a little bit of time. So there's going to be some repeats and themes, and we can maybe move some ideas around, erase some ideas. I want you to take a stamp, go into annotate, take a stamp, and you have 5 votes, and vote for your favorite, your top 5 issues. And if you like one a whole lot, you can put all 5 on a single one, or you can spread them out. And we're going to be voting only on the negatives, not on the positives. We're now voting on what are anchors, what's holding us back, everything written here in the blue under the water. All right, so you can see how you very quickly can get feedback on which ideas are working. Now, right now, we can see who is making what feedback. If for some reason you're asking super sensitive questions, in notification, in the meeting controls, you can turn off who the names here, so it can be more anonymous. Another way to do this is we can number our top solutions and then have a, who votes for number 1 and who votes for number 2. Okay, so just spending a few moments reviewing this, it looks like always on is a big one, so I'm going to circle that. Looks like too much Zoom is a super big issue. We might want to focus on that. Missing coworkers and working longer hours. Okay, so what we are going to do is, first, I'm going to save this for photos so we can refer to this. We are actually going to discuss how we can limit this too much. What we're going to do next is we're going to discuss solutions on how we can avoid too many Zoom meetings. So for the final part of the choose phase of our brainstorm, we want to reframe a negative as a challenge that invites us to generate solutions. So instead of too many Zoom meetings, that becomes, how can we be more mindful of our coworkers' time? Okay, so I'm hearing some great things. Prioritize, respect, start and end. Workbook. That was a really, from Yali, create a workbook style. Agendas. Have an outline. Maybe, since everyone waits till a Zoom meeting to cover all their other ideas, maybe we need to have a real quick daily check-in or something with the team. So that's a time where we know it's on the calendar, we all make it, and it's kind of like a standing meeting. So a lot of those things can happen in that one meeting. Or let's see, Janet says, for those that have a need for the idle chit chat, indicate that the meeting will be open at the end. Now that's really great, Janet. So have talk times after the meeting, just so we can have that face-to-face discussion. Miranda has a great idea. What about a task notion? Understand when a problem can be solved through email. So exactly, prioritize, you know, if it's email or Slack. So these are a variety of things. Maybe, and don't forget the phone, exactly. And I would also suggest text before you phone. Because for some people, 5 o'clock is a great time to talk still, where if maybe you have small kids, 5 o'clock is the time you have to eat because they're going to bed at 7 o'clock. So these are a couple of our solutions, and you can work in, again, small groups, or you can invite everyone to go off by themselves for 15 minutes and then come back. So Yali's sharing, in healthcare, we used to daily huddles for 15-minute check-in at the start and end of this day. And this can be by phone. So that's really great. So maybe we're saving our Zoom meetings for meetings, but we're having a check-in just via phone. Why don't you vote on which ideas you think are the best? And things that could be shared or done easy. Daily check-ins. Right, so it seems, I'm gonna give you about another minute. And when you're in your smaller brainstorms, this is a time where you can maybe set a time limit of, let's discuss each one of these for a minute or 2 minutes. Or now that we have some that are obviously popular, maybe we just discuss these for 2 to 3 minutes each. But this is a way that we get out lots of ideas and we get lots of feedback very quickly. Okay, so it looks like our most popular ideas are text before you call, don't forget the phone, and a daily check-in, and this talk time after our meeting. So again, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this whiteboard for to photos, just so we can review it later. So for the second part of the commit phase of our brainstorm, we're going to take our selected winning ideas and we're going to place them on this impact effort matrix, which gives us a quick visual overview of how easy things are and how much impact they'll create. Of course, we want to focus on the low effort, high impact solutions, and also the, you know, if we have something that's a low impact and low effort, we'll just make a simple task of it. And if it is a high effort and high impact, we need to make it a project and get it into a project management system to finish it and achieve our goals. What I would like is, Liz, one of our ideas was a daily check-in. Can you somewhere, is this an easy thing to implement or is it a difficult? Where would you put that on this chart here? Can you annotate that in for me? Yali, can you, we had another one of text before you call. Can you annotate that where this, is this an easy idea? Is this impactful? Is it harder to do? And then Sharon, can you, let's see, another idea was kind of a training on etiquette for like what we do when it's a text. If the priority is email, Slack, text. So why don't you somewhere, where do we go here for, where would that idea fit on? How hard is that to implement? How easy is that to implement? Another easy thing to do would be low effort and high impact would be, you know, share calendars. So you can see that we take our final ideas and we put them on this impact effort scale. So some of them are super easy. All you have to do is make it a company policy, or if it takes a little effort, you create a task in your project management system, you appoint someone who is in charge of that, and you can just really accomplish some of these things. Now that we've gone through the class, I'd love to take another poll and ask you, do you feel like you're a little bit more prepared on a scale of 1 to 5 to face some of these online interactions? All right. So this is a way, I hope this has been helpful for you on how we can make our Zoom meetings a little bit more like our face-to-face meetings, and maybe even a little bit better using some of these technologies, because now we don't have to snap a picture of our whiteboard. I already have it saved to my photos, and I could send it out in meeting notes. Before we get into questions, I wanted to share some of my favorite resources. The first are 3 books. The Workshopper Playbook by Jonathan Courtney, Design Sprint by Jake Knapp, and also How to Design Visual Templates by Boss Bacher. It contains more templates similar to the sailboat exercise that we used during the brainstorm. Also, I use ManyCam, which is a live streaming software, and it lets you use multiple cameras and also this picture within a picture effect. And if you want to follow my work, you can catch me at Liquid Sketch Studio, and feel free to subscribe to my newsletter or follow me on Instagram. Now we'll get to questions.
I have a question, Anne.
Yes, Liz.
I don't have a tablet. I could use a second computer.
Yes, you could use a second computer.
Is that the solution?
Yes, absolutely. And you, my tablet is signed in under me, but you could sign in a second computer under a separate email. So that's a way how you could do that.
I'm going to jump in quickly because I've done Whiteboard plenty of times and I didn't need a second screen. You can just do it on one computer. Is that
really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's cool to know. Thank you. I have one next week and I'm gonna obviously test it before I do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
So
thank
Mike,
you
I have
very
a
much.
question,
Yes,
Anne.
Miranda.
Well, of course, what I love about you is the engagement, the fun, the animation, and what I'm having to do is bring my entertainment business from in person, the experience, to now Zoom. What do you recommend that I can include that it's not just talking heads, it's just not me doing my readings? What do you suggest that I can kind of put a little bit of pep into my Zoom
Oh,
interface?
sure. Okay, now for context for the rest of you, Miranda is a lipstick reader. So she asks people to, on a piece of paper, Debbie up, load up the lipstick, make a kiss, and then she reads it like how you would read tea leaves. Well, maybe you could take that photo and you could upload it and then you could annotate it.
Annotate, yes, yes.
And just like how someone's reading your hand, you could, point out with the cursor, or you could annotate with a pen tool what you're seeing. So that's probably an idea how you could do it right there in Zoom.
So what you're saying is, because I have an iPad, and
Yes.
I let's say I have a lip print meeting,
Mhm.
am I going to sign in with another account to go into Zoom, and then
That's
I
what
write
I
in
would
it?
do because, again, if you're doing lip reading over Zoom, you want to have that face to face. So what I would do is sign it in. Go on your laptop for your visual, and then maybe on your iPad have that photo, and then you can share the photo in the not at that point, instead of using Whiteboard, you would just share the photo and then turn on the annotation, and you can just
Oh,
annotate right on top of the photo from your iPad.
that's $1 million nugget for me, Anne. Thank you. Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much.
you. And I actually was not aware that the annotating worked so well with everything else. So we have all learned something today.
How did you get, so you had your brand slide and then you down in the, like a mini Anne down in the
Oh,
corner?
yes, that is the software called ManyCam, and the spelling is in our chat, and I will also follow that up in our email. And there's I understand that there's quite a few competitors, but with ManyCam you can create a layer, so you could have like a blue background and have your video here and have your slides play up here, so you can and you can bring in various different cameras. So if you've hooked up your iPhone to take, zooming it on, let's say you're a crafter and you have your iPhone up here and it's showing your craft, that lets you move back and forth easily. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Dan. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.